This is Business Talk, your business, your success. Sponsored by Take Action Business Coaching. The opinions expressed are those of the participants and may not be the views of the staff, advertisers, and owners of the station. Advice given is not intended to replace that of your business advisor. Now, let's get down to talking about your business, your success. This is Business Talk.
Well, good afternoon, Michelle.
Good afternoon, Pete. Good to
Here
see you
we
again.
are again.
I know. Fabulous January Saturday.
Yes.
Yeah.
Welcome to Ohio, everybody,
Yes.
in winter. Yes. We're enjoying the cool weather and snow and all that. And I like to play in the snow, so it's fun.
Absolutely. You got some good skiing time for you.
Yep. I had a ski trip with my oldest son, Ben, in Colorado, and we had a great time.
That's awesome.
We skied really hard 3 days. We took a day off in the middle and went to the hot tub place.
Very good.
Where they had like 8 different hot tubs. It was really cool. And they're all right down by this river. And you could go in the river if you wanted to, if you're crazy. I didn't do that.
I'm glad you stuck
But they're
to
all
the
different
hot tub part.
temperatures.
Yeah.
Like some of them were 99, and then they'd be 101 and 103 and 105 and all the way up to 110. And the 110, they had a sign on there like a lobster. You know what I mean?
We will cook
I mean,
you.
dangerous hot.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
that's crazy.
But anyway, it was cool. They had a bar. And
That's
so
awesome.
It was cool.
Very good.
But it feels good
that's
on your
exciting.
legs.
Yeah,
after you've
I'm
beaten
sure
them up
after
for a couple
beating them
days.
for days. Well, my biggest exercise recently has been painting because, as you
painting.
know, we're building
Yes.
a new house and we're getting our house ready for sale.
Oh,
and so
yeah,
had
okay.
to, I'm a very colorful girl.
Oh, you
and
are?
so I have to tone down the color.
Oh,
and,
right. If you're selling a house, it should be like boring,
beige,
right? It's
gray,
well, same
white.
thing. Boring.
Exactly, boring. Yeah.
Right.
So I had to do a lot of painting, and so as you know, I don't ask friends for help, and I typically don't help friends with their houses.
As you've told me, I'm not that kind of friend.
Exactly.
And that's okay. I get it.
Yeah,
It's fine. It's fine.
I did back in my day when I didn't have 2 young kids running around and everything.
Right.
But yeah, so
Yes.
I took it on myself, took down 3 rooms of rolling and edging and painting, and
Beautiful. Yeah.
got it done. But yeah,
You got it done.
my body is feeling that it's not 20 anymore.
Okay, good. Well,
So
I'm glad
it's
to
good.
hear that.
Yeah, it's good.
So
good
we're here at the
exercise.
beginning of the year, and Michelle and I are business coaches,
Yep.
and we have a firm here in Columbus, and it's Michelle and Dawn Hackett
Yes.
and Peg Burley and myself. And we have been working with clients for 13 years here in the Columbus area and across the country.
Yes.
Probably a third of our clients are outside of the state of Ohio, but we're here in Columbus, and we work with all different kinds of companies, so it doesn't matter. We do some executive coaching
Right.
with some large Fortune 500 firms, and then probably 3/4 of what we do is working with businesses with 20 to 200 employees,
Right.
and help them a lot with management issues and opportunities for improvement with a team.
For sure.
And it's really fun.
Yeah,
it's
it is
interesting.
a lot of fun.
Yeah, and we
Yeah.
got a new year here.
Exactly, a new year, and I know everybody gets into their New Year's resolutions and their
Right.
goal setting and everything, and that's one of the things that we work on a lot with our clients in the business coaching arena is hitting those goals.
Right.
Setting the goals. Sometimes
Right.
people don't even take the time to really sit down and
That's true.
and think and put their goals into writing and figure out how they're going to get those actions in and strategies for that. So we work with our clients on that, but we also hold them accountable in getting those goals accomplished.
Yeah,
and,
to actually
and pushing
follow through.
themselves
So
forward.
it's kind of like a personal trainer for your business, right?
Exactly,
So
absolutely.
everybody knows how to do a push-up and a sit-up,
Right.
but do you actually do enough to get in shape? So,
Exactly.
we do have a 90-day planning session on March 2nd in
Right.
Grandview that we'd like to invite any of our listeners, if you'd like to call in. We'll get you a couple tickets for that. If you have a business, you want to bring yourself and maybe one of your employees, we'll get you in as our guest.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great day. Usually goes on from 8 o'clock in the morning to around 3 in the
3:30,
afternoon. Yeah,
right.
And it finishes up with a little networking happy hour,
Happy
just
hour.
relaxing time. But we'll get a lot of learning in there, and also setting our goals with our customers. And you just meet all kinds of people in different business industries. So it's a great opportunity the entire day to be networking, meeting connections, people that can help your business, and learning from others that are working on their business. So it's a great day to come.
Yeah. So, again, call us if you'd like to attend. Just give us a call, 614-306-7922. Again, it's 614-306-7922. And we usually start the show with good news. There's a lot of good news going on. You
Right.
know? And the Browns have a great draft pick right? They're going to.
Exactly.
And when you're 0-16, you get a great draft pick, right?
Right.
So that's cool.
And, I love, Pete, when you said that, because we were talking about that this morning, and it's definitely something that a lot of people could see as negative news,
that's a negative,
right?
but
In despair.
Hey,
But really, it is
just
taking that
don't
perspective.
pick a quarterback. That's all I'm saying.
Right.
I wouldn't do that. The poor guy, whoever it is.
But just, that's the way you look at it. Now, the positive for next year is looking pretty good.
There you go.
Or the growing years.
Yeah, and other than that, the stock market is up. There's a lot of cranes. There are a lot of cranes in the air. Not birds, but real construction going on here in Columbus.
For sure.
And I hit a couple of airports in Dallas, and places booming.
Oh, yeah.
It's just booming.
Yep.
So there's a lot of positive things happening with our clients.
For sure.
They're extremely busy.
Exactly. Especially those of us that have some clients in construction and development and things. They're definitely busy. But business in general is good. So let's keep the momentum rolling and
our
moving
topic
forward.
for today is?
It's we're going to talk about a book called The Little Things by Andy Andrews. And we've talked about Andy before. He's a great author, one of my favorite authors. And he's written the book called The Traveler's Gift, which is probably his
highly
number
recommended,
one.
right?
Highly recommended, yes.
That's a good book.
And The Noticer. Both are excellent books to read, very easy to read. I say these are even vacation-worthy books that you can read because...
Beach books,
Yeah,
huh?
Exactly. Sometimes we talk about different business books, and it might take
but they
some little more
shouldn't be
effort,
hard, right?
right?
And most of the books we recommend are not.
Yeah,
they're
usually
not
we try to
awful
keep
reads.
them pretty
Yeah,
good.
otherwise you're not going to finish it. Right?
Exactly. Yeah. So his are typically more story-based, telling, relating to history or relating to some different things. This one is a little bit different. It is more a lot of different broken down concepts that all kind of pertain to the same title, but it's not an ongoing story through the entire thing, which is just different than his other books. But I'll tell you, it too makes it very easy to read because you can just read a chapter or two, and when you can fit it in. You don't necessarily have to, keep reading day after day to keep the story going. So, so we wanted to talk about this because a lot of what he talks about in here is the little things that affect change in our lives and the little things that go unnoticed that we should pay a little bit more attention to.
Okay.
So he says why you should really sweat the small stuff.
Okay.
So, people talk about, just ignore the small stuff. We don't need to focus on that. And that's true. You certainly don't want to get bogged down in the details. Sometimes you don't want to get bogged down in the despair of the little things. However, there is a big difference in little things that go on. So one of the concepts he talks about is just the difference of one. So when you think about it, we talk about the Browns.
One extra push-up.
Right. Yeah, the one extra push-up is where you have, but, we have the Super Bowl coming up.
Right.
Right now, people know the teams that, are going to be there. But if you ask 6 months later, they'll remember the team that won the Super Bowl.
Of course.
But they won't necessarily remember who
we
number
don't
2
remember
was.
people who lost even presidential elections.
Exactly.
15, 16, 20, 24 years ago.
Yep.
You don't remember who the person that
Absolutely.
lost. You
Right.
usually don't.
Yep. And you can always remember who the vice president was or who their running mate was to potentially be the vice
and we
president.
usually don't care.
Yep.
Sorry, Mr. VP, but
Right,
doesn't
exactly.
matter.
Yep, absolutely. When the Olympic race, you remember the gold medalists, right? Because you continue to see their faces on the Wheaties commercials and all those different things. But you don't typically remember who got silver, who got bronze,
But I'm
especially
thinking
after
back
a
to
period of time.
my 20 plus years in the chemical industry. The details are extremely important.
Right.
A temperature change from a couple degrees
Yep.
can make a huge difference.
Absolutely.
I didn't put quite the right amount of ingredients into this batch of material.
Exactly.
The little things are extremely important.
Absolutely.
And if you get them right,
Yep.
usually the big stuff happens correctly as well.
Absolutely. Think about if you weren't paying attention to the degree difference in those hot tubs, right?
All right. It makes a big
difference. You would have been the
difference.
lobster cooked in the 110
you could be
degree
a lobster,
one.
right.
Especially if you had a medical condition or something like that you wouldn't want to be in that hot of degrees. I definitely have had experiences, those little details when I would be like baking. I love to bake. So, cooking all kinds of things.
And
Forget
you know what?
the darn baking
it's all
soda.
chemistry, man.
Exactly.
You do it slightly wrong,
right.
and you have a problem. problem.
You have a problem.
It is not the same.
Absolutely.
Right.
It can be good or it can be bad,
Right.
whatever it turns
Right.
out, but it will not be the same if you're not paying attention to those details. So,
Okay.
And when you think about also the difference, as you said, in the Olympic sports or whatever, when you look between who did win that gold medal, who got first and who got 10th in some of those races, it's less than a
fraction
second.
of a second.
Right.
Exactly.
Difference, you
Yeah,
know.
sprinters.
Exactly.
And ski races.
Right,
And all
the
those
swimming
things.
and all those things.
Right.
Where
Car
it's-
races. even.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's that difference of one. It's a little thing, but it's so big, you know, it's so different. And like you said, when you're working out with the personal trainers and things, you know, it's that extra push, you know, you can do 10 push-ups and that will just be okay.
Well, yeah, and thank you, Nate. I'm thinking of
Yes,
Nate.
yep.
He would say when it starts to get hard, that last rep or two
Right.
is where you're going to have most of your gains.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yep. Yeah. And we talk about something called perturbation, right? When we're in coaching, we
Which
see
is
that
called
a lot.
a disturbance. It's the same
Yeah.
as the disturbance.
Exactly. So that's when you have that moment where you have to decide either you're going to break through and get to where you're going, or you're going to break down because it gets really hard. You know, that's that moment. You've been doing push-ups
and think
doing
about this for
push-ups
you
and-
business owners. When you're making a really big decision,
Mm-hmm.
if you're not perturbating or disturbed in some way,
Right.
it's probably not as big a decision as you think it is.
True.
So if you're going to build a new building, which we have a couple of
Yeah,
clients,
we
several
have quite a
clients
few
actually are
doing
doing
that.
that right now.
Right.
Or to start hiring people at general management levels that will cost you a lot of money.
Right.
Or a really high-performing salesperson, which we have one client who's doing
Sure.
that, a very highly compensated person. It is it can be disturbing.
For sure.
But this is good news because that's how you grow.
Right. Yeah.
Is if you're uncomfortable, you're about to grow.
Exactly. Yeah. We say, you know, the comfort zone is a great place, but nothing ever grows there, right?
Yeah,
So we have to
something
push
like- yeah.
ourselves out of that comfort zone, have that difference, have that bit of uncomfortableness. So
So applied
that's
to
one
a
of the things.
business, what would be a little thing?
What would be a little thing? So I'd say the details in anything. So say a hiring process. If
Okay.
you know, are ignoring some of the little things, like sometimes it's just that gut feeling, right? That you get.
You should pay attention to your gut.
Exactly.
Right.
Or you called a reference and, you know, they maybe give you bad feedback, but you're just so desperate to get somebody in.
Oh,
Sometimes
right.
we talk about that person, you know,
They're
just
trying to
getting
warn you subtly and
a hot body in the room, you know, something. And so if they don't take that time to really listen to the important facts, those little things, those little details, you could either A, miss out on a great person, or B, get stuck with the wrong person.
Okay.
So it's definitely things like that you really need to pay attention to and how we move forward in your business, in your personal life, and everything. So paying attention to the little things, and as we move forward, we're going to get into even more things on how we choose what our life is like in business and in personal life in this new year with upcoming change and how things are going.
Okay, excellent.
All right.
So you gave us some examples about how we can apply this little concept in your
give
work
us
life.
even more concepts going forward. You got it.
right.
Thanks.
To learn more about today's topic, call 614-306-7922. Now, back to more business talk.
We're talking today about a book called The Little Things by Andy Andrews. And Andy wrote a book called The Traveler's Gift, which we
Yes.
also recommend. It's a very good book.
Yep.
And this book is primarily about
The little things.
Okay.
Yeah. He calls the little things because it is the little differences that can make such an impact in your life, in your job, in your company, anything that you're working on, because obviously business is our main focus here, but business involves people, right? So we have to set our mind right sometimes in order to get what we want. So one of the things he talks about is choosing how we behave. And this is something we talk about a lot, and especially for those of you that are in a leadership position out there, we have to make sure that we are choosing how we react to things. And we talk about this concept a lot in a formula we like to call the E plus R equals O, right?
Right.
Do you want to talk about what that
Well,
entails?
it's actually Jack Canfield wrote several books, and this is in one of his books called The Success Principles, I
Yep.
believe. And it's if you have a piece of paper, if you're home, if you're not driving, you can write this down. But it's E plus R equals O, and basically what the concept is, there are events that happen in our life and our business, An
Right.
example could be the economy. It's
Yep.
going to do whatever it's going to do. And we've had this conversation with our clients a lot.
Absolutely.
A lot of times new clients, and they just say, well, the economy's not so good. Or I had one a couple of years ago who said, well, there's a presidential election coming. It's going to be a bad year.
Yeah.
And I had another one in the exact same business who said, yeah, there's an election coming, but it's going to be a great year.
Right.
And their years were different by about 20% in
Absolutely.
growth levels. You know?
Yeah.
So what we want to be thinking about is events are going to happen, and even employees. An employee could come into your business and they'd had a fight with their wife, or they lost their dog, or they're sick.
Right.
And you don't have any control over that event that happened to them.
Absolutely.
You do have a complete control over your reaction to how this employee is when they come in.
Right.
And you can help them, you can console them, you can say, hey, you're in such poor condition that you may be better off just go home.
Right.
You know, and take care of this thing.
Yeah.
And come back when you're done, you know, and you know, care for them.
Exactly.
And let them know that you care about them.
Right.
But your reaction to that event is the only thing you can control, and it will determine whether or not you have a positive or negative outcome.
Right.
And all the outcomes that we have currently that are happening in our lives are the result of our previous reactions to previous events.
Exactly.
If that makes sense.
Sure.
And you can use it as far as your financial position.
Right.
Well, I've had money and I spent it all. So
Yeah.
that was my reaction to getting money. That was the event.
Right.
I spent it all. Or I could say I saved half of it every year
Yeah.
diligently, and all of a sudden I'm relatively well off and I have some
Exactly.
savings, right?
Yeah,
So, or
exactly.
your weight or your health or all these things.
Yeah,
So
really
and
anything that-
really it's about thinking about what outcomes do you really want in your business? What do you want it to look like? And then
Right.
when this stuff happens, how do I respond in the best way possible
Right.
to get the best outcome possible?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, you can choose to be offended, upset, angry, and you can choose to have your reaction based on those feelings.
Right.
Feelings are going to happen. We're entitled to have our feelings. When something happens, the event happens, it probably is going to give us a feeling,
Yeah, feelings are okay.
And
We're
that's
okay with that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's just what you do after that feeling, how you turn it around and react to somebody. We talk about the line of choice a lot as far as, we're choosing to take ownership and accountability and responsibility for a situation.
Right.
Choosing not to have blame, excuses, denial, putting our head in the sand that there isn't even a problem. You have these feelings because of the events that happen. It's okay to have those feelings. Right. The events you can't control. What you can control is your thought, your actions, your behavior, and especially when, again, you're leading a business. Right?
Yeah, if you're a
the
leader,
business leader,
and I'm going back to the employee thing, and sometimes it applies really to this little things concept is if an employee really has a problem and you are compassionate and kind and care about them and
Right.
their personal life.
Yep.
And help them when they really need it,
Exactly.
they're more likely to be loyal and come in and bust their butt when they do have this problem solved and they come back.
Exactly.
Now, if they do it every week, that's a different story.
Sure. Yeah. We're not going to allow them to.
That is also an event that's out of your
advantage.
control, but you do have to handle it appropriately.
Absolutely.
But what we are saying is that by going a little extra mile, you
Yeah.
may engender a lifelong commitment from an employee.
Exactly.
So.
Absolutely. Yep. And when you talk about choosing your behavior too, I thought this was interesting that people are entitled to their own opinions, but not their own facts. So just because it's their
yeah.
opinion doesn't mean that it is a fact, and they can't force you to believe that fact because it's not a fact; it's their opinion. So watching
and that's
out.
a great point.
what
So
is
a lot
opinion.
of times we have, I call them storms going on within a business.
Sure.
And sometimes as a leader, you'll have an employee come to you and say, hey, this happened, that happened, and they're pointing to some other department.
Right.
And they didn't do this and that. An hour later, you may have somebody from this other department who comes and has a slightly different story
Yep.
involving this other individual and say, well, they didn't, blah, blah, blah.
Exactly.
So sometimes you have to get folks together
Right.
and get the facts out on the table
Have
to
that
find out
clear
what really
communication.
happened.
What was the actual?
Yeah, and let's
Right.
just look at it once we all know what can be known.
Right.
Then we can decide how we're going to go forward.
Exactly.
And I guess what I'm saying is to be careful about taking emotional opinions.
Right.
Make sure you know the facts before you do too much. On
Exactly.
something.
Before you choose how you're going to react on it,
Right.
know the facts. And in this day and age, in anything in the world, we are just inundated with information.
Oh,
And
yeah. Sometimes too much.
Yes,
right?
too much sometimes, and it isn't necessarily fact. It's opinions coming from all over
Sure.
the different places, and people make it sound like it's fact. So you do have to do your due diligence, especially in your business when you're looking to make a decision that could be affected by things. Is this an actual fact that I'm looking at, or is it opinions of certain people? It's okay to listen to various opinions and take that in, but we really need to pay attention to that. And one thing you had brought up before that he also talks about in this book is the power of perspective. So you have the ability to direct what happens from this point forward based on what your interpretation of the current situation is.
Okay.
So, you can be the author of your own reality in your business, in your life, by controlling what your perspective is, and it all goes back to that response. An interesting story that he told that does relate to business in here is just the perspective of different businesses. So he says that on average, the fast food restaurant chains out there, each restaurant grosses around $800,000 a year in revenue on average.
All right.
So it also is known and proven with years and years of research that Sunday, which surprised me, is actually the busiest day in fast food restaurants.
All right.
They're just consistently, so they have to plan for that, know that they're going to be busy, have to bring in
people are
more
out and about
employees.
and carting kids around.
Exactly. Make sure they have enough inventory, everything.
People don't want to cook on Sunday as much.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. It was interesting to me because that was, I guess, research that I didn't know in that particular thing. And
I
it
would have
just
guessed
didn't
Saturday.
I would have thought Saturday, or even a weekday when people are out, lunch working and, just stuff like that. But interesting. So, McDonald's being one of the largest fast food restaurants out there, they know this information. Every fast food chain that wants to find this information, the research is out there and they can get to it. So they know that on Sundays they have to be really on their game, bring in the extra employees, make sure that they're staying consistent with
Staff
their time,
appropriately.
Appropriately, make sure that all the systems and processes and procedures are in place. And so instead of $800,000 a year per restaurant, on average, McDonald's grosses $2.2 million a year. So they've, have a well-oiled machine, do it very well. Well, the interesting different perspective is using Chick-fil-A as an example. So Chick-fil-A has the same research, fast food restaurant, same, level of information coming to them. They know that Sundays is the busiest day in fast food. However, they choose to be closed on Sundays because they believe in giving their employees that day
of
off,
rest.
day of rest, day to recoup, day to be with family, and, they've chosen to make that decision. But the interesting difference is, even with taking that choice, taking out the busiest day of the week in fast food world, they gross $4.6 million on average over
per store.
per store.
And they only sell chicken.
Exactly.
Holy cow, Harry.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's just those little different
Nothing
points,
against chicken. I like chicken.
Right.
But every day? No.
Yeah. But it's just, it's what their morals are, what their company culture is, what they believe in, and it's just interesting to think, what could you do? What little differences could you do in your business that might be separate from the norm? What could you do?
You can get things done and be profitable at it if you understand the pool that you're swimming in.
Absolutely.
and know how to get where you need to go.
Right.
You can do it.
And what
you can choose to do it.
you
don't have to do it the same as everybody else.
Exactly. Yeah. You don't.
And
have
really,
to
you don't want to.
Right.
I don't think.
Yeah, I don't think so either. And we'll get to more into that when we come back. But there's a lot of little things that are out there in the world that really are important. Again, it's not studying the small stuff is something that we all say, but sometimes maybe we do need to look at the details.
The
and
thing
pay
I'm
attention
thinking
to
about,
things.
a couple of topics when we get back, is how does this apply to people, to your employees?
Sure.
And how does it apply to marketing?
Yeah.
How do I apply this little concept to growing my business?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Could your business use some help? Call 614-306-7922 to schedule your coaching session. 614-306-7922. Now, here's more business talk.
All right, we're talking today about a book called The Little Things by Andy Andrews, and
Yes.
he wrote The Traveler's Gift.
Yep. And The Noticer.
The
Yep.
Noticer. I haven't
And-
read The Noticer,
Yeah,
but
it's
I've
a
read
very
the other
good
one.
book too. Yeah,
Very good.
Definitely
Good
recommend
author.
these. Yeah,
And we're talking about little things, and sometimes we mention that when you're exercising, or if you're in a car race, or you're in a foot race,
Right.
a tenth of a second
Yeah,
means a lot.
exactly. Yeah.
Or an extra rep means a lot, right?
Absolutely.
At that last one, if it's really hard, you should do one more.
right.
And that's where you're going to get the growth.
Exactly.
Right?
That's
And
where
it's the
these
same with your
differences can
business.
come
So,
through.
and how you treat your employees, or maybe how you market your company. So let's
Right.
talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, one thing that we kind of got into before we left with the power of perspective and the difference between Chick-fil-A and McDonald's as far as, how they run their companies and how
Yeah.
things are different. One interesting thing he talks about is, and you kind of alluded to that too, just because everybody is doing it that way doesn't mean
you should
that
do it
you should
too.
be doing it too.
Right, right.
Especially when you are looking at your marketing. Let's say you really need to figure out what your unique selling position is, your USP, and that's something we spend a lot of time with our customers.
Or your point of differentiation, is some of
exactly.
the textbooks will call it that.
Absolutely. Yeah. So what makes your company stand apart from
Right.
other companies out there? Because there's a million people out there serving chicken sandwiches, doing it
Yeah,
that
there
way,
are. Yep.
So, even if that's not their specialty, McDonald's has some chicken sandwiches and Wendy's has, so what did they have to do in order to make themselves different, make themselves stand out? And that's something that we look at with our customers. One exercise that you can do to really try to figure out what that little thing is, what that unique selling position is write down the name of your company and the list of all your competitors, even, within your area that
Sure.
are, quote
Okay.
unquote, doing the same thing. So
Okay.
say if you're a modeling company, you write down the
Right.
name of your company and 6 other remodelers in
Yeah.
your area
Within
that you
10
would
miles
say
of
within
you or
10 miles
whatever,
of you,
yeah.
or they're kind of targeting the same customer and everything
Right.
as you. And then write down, and you can even do a survey of your current customers of what they enjoy or what they're looking for when they're looking for a remodeling company.
That's a good point. It's really easy to do.
Yeah.
And most people don't take the time to do it, but there's nothing stopping you from calling. If you're a home remodeler and you do fairly large jobs,
Right.
you're not doing 1,000 a year. You could call the last 20 jobs that you finished
Absolutely.
and say, hey, what was the best thing about what we did for you?
Right.
Or what's something we could have done a little better?
Exactly.
And just ask them a couple quick questions.
Right. And so
And you can always
rate
thank
your
them in
things.
some way for that, but it'd be
Absolutely.
very valuable information.
For sure.
Because sometimes the things that people really like, the business owner's not aware of.
Yeah. Exactly.
You just don't know.
Right. You're looking at it from your perspective, not necessarily a
Job's
customer
done,
perspective.
job's profitable or not profitable. They did it on time.
Right.
Great, done. Let's move on.
Yeah.
You know?
And an interesting thing, too, if you have those connections, and maybe you had a couple of people that came through and say on a remodeler, came through and got a quote, and they met with you and went so far, but then they didn't actually end up buying from you. They went with somebody else.
Yep.
If you're feeling brazen enough, you could always talk to those people, too, and say, hey,
Why not?
no harm done. I'm glad that you found what you were looking for. Can you let me know what was it that they got over us? What was it that we didn't offer you? What could we do better in order to make that difference? But
And it could be price. It could be something, but
Exactly.
it's good to be certain rather than guess.
Absolutely. Right. Absolutely. So knowing those different things. So you just kind of pick, maybe 10 different things that customers might be looking for when they're looking for somebody in your industry. Great customer service. It might be price. It might be examples of prior work you've done, whatever, a lot of different things. And you kind of grade yourself, and be honest, grade yourself in each of those categories, and 1 to 10, how your company does. And then from the best of your knowledge, maybe by reading their online reviews or looking at their websites and stuff, go through and rate your competition too, and see where they lie. And wherever you rank the highest, maybe you get a 10 and everybody else gets a 5, 6, 7, that could be a unique selling position that you really want to amp up on, and you really
And if
want
you
to pay
put that
attention
together
to.
with your research from your customers, your happy customers, well, and your unhappy ones as well.
Exactly.
You can really get some powerful ideas on what to focus on.
Yep. And if you don't find something within those that's different, now we need to really push the envelope, right? And look outside the box and figure out what could we add to our services? What could we do differently that maybe would give us a unique selling position?
Because generally, our clients, we want them to be pricing somewhat higher than average.
Right.
Because we want them to be profitable than average, but they've got to provide something that people value more than average.
For sure. Yep.
So you've got to do it all together.
Exactly.
You've got to be really, really good at something or some things and charge for it appropriately.
Exactly.
And you'll have plenty of customers.
For sure. One interesting story that's, some people may know, some people don't, but that he used as far as doing something different just because everybody else does it one way doesn't necessarily make it right.
Okay.
Is the banana story. Have you heard
banana
about
story?
Opening a banana? So most people, when they open a banana, take the little tab handle that at the top of the banana. You rip the banana off the bunch, and there's a little
Except
tab
for my
up
son
at the top.
David. I know you're listening out there. He
David,
goes the other way.
Smarter than the average bear, or the average monkey. Because
He's a smarty pants.
You actually should open it from the other side,
bottom.
from the bottom.
But nobody does that except
Nobody
David.
does it except for David. Yeah. And I think Isaac, one of my coaching clients, the other day said that he did. But it's something that I actually learned at my coaching certification.
And why would you want to do that?
Because it actually, when you pull the handle, it's so weak that it ends up smushing the top of the banana often,
every time.
Every time. And also, when you take it from the bottom, you get less of the strings that pull from it, just the way the banana is designed. It also gives you a nice little handle at the bottom if you're peeling the other way.
So if I'm a monkey out in the jungle, would I open it that way?
You would open it from the bottom.
From the bottom.
You got it. The monkeys are
and
smarter
they know.
than us.
Well, I mean, they know bananas.
Right?
I know that
they
much.
do know bananas.
Oh, yeah.
So that is if you go to the zoo and you watch the monkeys open bananas, or
They
if
do
you
it
see
the
them out
other
in the
way.
jungle, they do
I'll
it the
be
other
darned.
way. So again, we're all opening the banana. Or I won't say all, because obviously there are some people like David who have figured it out.
Right.
And even I know this. I've known this for years. I've heard this before. I've known it for years.
But
I still do it the wrong way.
Yeah, well, habits. Habits are pretty powerful
exactly,
things,
right? So, think, what's the banana in your industry? What's the banana in your business that could, if you flipped it on its side, could you do it a different way? Would it be more efficient? And they were talking about, it's actually much more efficient to open bananas that way. If you were hiring employees to just open bananas, the people that were doing it that way would be much more productive than the people that were trying to fight with the little handle thing and doing it the other way.
So if you own a Sunday shop, you should be applying this technique.
Right,
okay,
absolutely.
Good.
Open the bananas, make your productivity a little bit better.
Thinking about somebody's business, one of the things that we do periodically, and a few times a year, is with one of our clients, we may get some employees into a room with a whiteboard and diagram a process.
Yeah.
Okay, so what's the production fulfillment process? Let's write it down.
Yeah.
All the steps.
Right.
And almost every time somebody goes, well, why are we still doing that?
Right.
Or that doesn't make any sense. We put that piece of paper over there and file it, and nobody ever looks at it.
Right.
Stop doing that.
Yes.
So you find when you really look at something, the team that's involved in it, you usually can find ways to improve it.
Absolutely. Yeah. And there's some times that we aren't taking that opportunity. Business owners and leaders aren't taking that opportunity to even ask the newest guy who's, he's just 6 months after being trained or whatever, he's been here. He has a different perspective than those that might have been there 15, 20 years.
Right.
What can he offer that's going to shake things up, that's going to make something new, make
and
something more
I'm thinking back
productive?
to the Chick-fil-A's and the McDonald's of the world. They're both big, profitable companies, right?
Right.
And I know that those companies have gone through analyzing how they do everything.
Right. Absolutely.
How they put a piece of lettuce on the burger or the chicken sandwich.
How everything's laid out on the
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we saw that Ray Kroc movie.
Yeah, The Founder.
The Founder, yeah. Now, it turned out, man, he was not a nice guy.
I know. At the end, I was like, I don't know if I can eat there again.
Holy
I still
cow, but Big Mac once in a while, I still like that. But they absolutely analyzed the dickens out of everything.
Absolutely,
so. But those little things done a million times over, if you do it slightly better, you're going to save a lot of money.
Absolutely, for sure. And it's also the little thing of writing down those processes once you do figure out, whether it's the process you currently have or you figure out that process that's a change. That's one thing I was interestingly talking to somebody about their business the other day and a process that they were going to change based on something that happened. Because sometimes that's how our processes change, right? Something goes wrong.
There's an
or
error.
Something, went awry. So they're developing a new process. And they had a meeting about it. So they had a meeting and I said, okay. And so we wrote this down and put it in our standard operating processes book, right? And they're like, well, we talked about it. Isn't that good enough? And I said, That's
not
one
really.
of those little things, right?
You get hit by a beer truck, and we don't have it written down. You got trouble, right?
Yes. And I said, that you do not have every single employee that you're ever going to have in that room at that one given moment of time, right? You probably didn't even have every employee that you currently employ in that room. So
Right.
now we get the rumor mill of spreading how the new process is, and what's going to change and how does the story.
But it gets to the 10th person,
exactly.
it's going to be changed.
It's playing that horrible
it's
game of
changed.
telephone, right? So, make sure it's in writing. Make sure everybody knows where to access it. If they were confused during the meeting, that they can refer back to, talk to their leaders and stuff. So it is those little things, even in teams, that can make a big difference.
Great. And in order to grow, we want you to become really, really good at doing the same thing over and over again.
Absolutely.
Right? And there might be certain parts of that set you apart if you do it correctly all the time.
For sure.
Do it the way you really want it done.
Yes.
To learn more about today's topic, call 614-306-7922. Now, back to more business talk.
All right, so we're here talking about how to open a banana, and you should do it from the opposite end that you are doing it now, unless you're really strange. So that little handle thing, that goes on the bottom, and you open it from the top. And you're going to have less mush and fewer strings.
Fewer strings,
right?
Yes. And who wants those strings? They're always a pain in the butt
strings.
anyway.
Who wants to eat those things, man? They're weird.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm not eating them.
Be like the monkey and do it.
Now,
in a
when Ben and I
way.
were in Thailand, we spent a whole day with a bunch of elephants.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
And they didn't have any banana. They didn't give them bananas.
No.
I don't know if they don't have bananas or what, but it was all this other
They
mushy
saved them all
stuff.
for the monkeys.
And it's really it's kind of the first few times it's kind of weird because they their trunk is wet.
Yeah.
And they're grabbing that stuff and you're
kind of
putting
slimy.
Yeah, kind of slimy. And but they're really friendly, But they're very gentle. They'll grab a big piece of pumpkin or something and grab it from you. And sometimes they toss it into their mouth.
Interesting.
It's really cool.
Yeah. What can we learn from how the elephants eat?
Yeah.
Use your foot? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. But it looks like they're smiling all the time,
they're
too.
having a good time. That's good stuff. So, we're talking about, these little things in business that might be the details, the devil's in the details, right? It might be the edge that you get in your business. It's the important things of making sure that we're doing things right. Also, we want to talk about the difference between average and the best.
Okay.
Because oftentimes in our own mindset, we limit ourselves. We don't really push to be the best because people that are average are comparing themselves to everybody else within whatever it is they're doing. So if they want to be the best runners, let's use the 4-minute mile way back when, right?
Yeah,
people believed that nobody could
You
run
couldn't
faster
run that fast, right?
than a 4-minute mile.
Right.
Absolutely. And then the first person broke that record.
Roger Bannister.
Yes, and then after that, everybody could do it.
A whole bunch of people did it. Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, I couldn't do it, but
I still can't do it. No. Alan can do it.
Alan can do it for
backwards.
sure. Our producer.
Oh, yeah.
So it's that self-limiting mindset. So we look at the people in our industry, at our business, and we say, oh, well, on average, people are making this much. So I'm right there, so I'm doing good.
Right.
And that's good. That's okay. But if you really want to be the best, you need to push yourself against your own potential. You need to push your business against its own potential.
Yeah, and we do sometimes gather data from hundreds of companies across the U.S. to look at what should a statistic be on gross profit in this type of business or something like that. But we do want you to look at your own business and compare yourself to yourself because really that's what you have direct control over.
Exactly.
And it is good to know that other information, but we want you to be looking at the things that you have direct control over and making improvements where you think it's appropriate.
Exactly. And it is those little steps of, if you are way below, say, your industry average, you're probably not going to tomorrow beat everybody in your industry.
Right, and we don't want you to beat yourself up.
Exactly.
But you can look at it and try to understand why.
Exactly.
And then determine what you can do about it.
Right. So you set your own realistic goals in steps to get to whatever your best goal is. So, you competing against yourself, really. Do the key performance indicators for your company. Do key performance indicators for your team members. And
now this is early in 2018. It's a great time to look back. You hopefully have all gotten your financials back from your accountant.
Right.
And if you haven't, you should have them back by now. Hurry up, accountant. And take a look at all the critical numbers in your business and make sure you
Absolutely.
understand what was the outcome of last year.
Exactly.
How did we do?
Right. And let's look
And
at
if you
those
have different
actual
segments of your
numbers.
business, you need to look at those independently,
Right.
those different sectors, and find out how well we did in each one.
For sure. How did we do as far as getting new customers, converting those leads to new customers? How did we do with our average dollar sale? How many transactions
Margins.
did we get? How was our profit margins? And set goals for yourself based on those numbers. Push yourself to beat yourself to do the best that you can. So an interesting thing that he talks about is the question of why. So why is a question that we think about, all the
Yeah.
time. Why
Okay.
does this happen? But think about when we ask the question why. We typically ask the question why when we don't know the answer or when something's going wrong or something's not working. Why is this happening? Why is
Yeah.
this not
Okay.
working? Why is this way?
Yeah.
And we kind of stop once we get the resolution. So if something wasn't working, why isn't it working? Then it starts working and we say, cool. And we stop
We ignore it
asking
and we
why.
go- move on.
Right?
Yeah, right.
Yep.
Okay.
So as coaches, one of our roles is to be asking the question why when things are going well and
Right.
try to figure out so we can repeat that again and again and again. But also, what else could we be doing? Why aren't we at the next level? Just because
Yeah.
you achieve one level doesn't
Okay.
mean that you have to stop, so we don't have to ask why just in a negative way.
So I'm thinking
But
about
why
one
are
of our
things going-
clients. We're working with a law firm, and they had, like all law firms, they have to keep track of time, right?
Right.
That's what they're selling is their ability to apply time
Sure.
to certain projects and certain matters, and that they had been collecting time at the end of each month for everybody that's billable, that kind of thing. Well, we got it to a week, right?
Right.
And then a few months later, we moved it to recording it daily.
Oh,
and it's actually
interesting.
smooth things up to the
Yeah.
point where the month-end close financially is they can get invoices out much quicker because all they have is a day's worth of information to put in.
Sure.
So
That's
if you do
heck
it
of a lot
as you're
easier
doing
than-
it, it's
Yeah.
like, duh, now
Right.
I'm thinking about it. But at the time, it was like, can we do it every week?
Yeah.
And then that worked well. Mm-hmm. And then we got it back to where, okay, well, why don't we just get it done every day?
Right.
And make sure we're up on it every single day.
Sure. Yeah.
Expenses, time, everything is in the system. So,
Right.
and it's again a little thing,
Yep.
but when you do that for a large staff,
Yeah.
it makes a huge difference in the accounting department and how quickly they can get the bills out.
Right.
And if you get the bills out faster, you get paid faster, right?
Absolutely. And sometimes in business, things almost happen as a fluke. Not often, usually you have to work
Yeah,
things, but
sometimes good things.
good things happen as a fluke,
Right.
just like all of a sudden we have customers streaming in and we didn't
Yeah.
think that we did anything
happened?
different to do it. So that's where we ask the question, why? Why are we getting more customers now? Because we
Right.
want this to keep happening, what?
Or thinking back to
caused
what we
this?
said in a previous segment, why
Right.
was a customer really happy?
Right.
Well, we need to know why. I mean, that'd be
Exactly.
really good to know.
Yeah, absolutely. So
Mm-hmm.
thinking of, questioning yourself with that why a little bit more.
Okay.
And then another kind of telltale thing that he talks about is a lot of people say, if you could choose. So if you could choose the life that you would want to live, what would it be? If
Okay.
you could do this. And,
Let's see, I'm thinking warmth right now.
yeah,
Someplace
warm
warm.
sounds good for sure. But really, why is it if you can choose? You can write
right.
your
That's up
story
to
of
you.
your business. You
Yeah.
can write the story of yourself. It is a choice for you to make. You may need to figure out the steps to get there, right?
Right,
You may have to have some plans to make some changes in order
Yeah.
to get that to happen. But don't limit yourself by saying if or hope. Those are basically little tags that are letting you off the hook to have to achieve to be that best. We talked about trying to push
And we're not getting
yourself
down
and
on
pushing
hope.
your company.
Hope is good.
Hope is good, but hope can also stop you from
we want to have a
pushing.
goal and a
Yeah,
plan.
to say, I hope that I will get that done. It's basically giving me a little out to be like, but if I didn't, I only hoped. I didn't, set my, whole heart and soul in that. So when we talked about our 90-day planning session that we have coming up on March 2nd, and when we get together with a group of owners for that, we have them sit down and figure out what they are going to do. It's
Right.
not if I could do this. I
Yeah,
would
and
get
some of the
that. It's-
pre-work is to take a look at where they want to be in a year
Right.
ahead of time.
for sure.
So that by the time they get in that room, they're thinking about, well, what do I and my various departments need to get done in the next quarter, the next 90 days,
Right.
in order to get to the longer-term goals.
Yes.
1 year, 2 year, 5 year.
Yep. And the little things that we spend time on that day is the planning out. So we set the goals, and those are great. We have goals that we're going to increase our average dollar sale from $500 to $550 in this quarter. So we set that goal. Well, now we need to know what our strategies are in order to make that happen. Very specific strategies on how we're going to increase our average dollar sale. So maybe we're going to increase prices. Maybe we're going to add a new product line. Maybe we're going to educate our team to educate our customers better with sales scripts. Different things that we can do in order to increase our average dollar sale. But then we get even more detailed with the little things, or what are the action steps that we have to do. So even if we're going to do something as increasing our prices, right? Yep. So first we have to do an analysis of our pricing. We may have to do a comparative of market research. We may have to look at industry standards, whatever all the different steps are of what needs done in order to do that strategy, in order to get to those goals.
This is from a book called The Little Things by Andy Andrews, and you have used this with some of your clients. And the other book that he wrote is
The Traveler's Gift and The Noticer. All really good books, very easy reads as far as enjoyable, the way he tells the stories, and very thought-provoking. You should definitely do it at a time when you can kind of think through, a story that he tells or information that he gives, that you can make that happen through that. So one other way that we can push your business and learn some little things is when it comes to marketing. We were talking about as far as knowing your unique selling position and all of that. Pushing yourself to constantly learn and grow is the only way to get out of that comfort zone. It's the only way to push yourself to move forward. And we have actually coming up in conjunction with Salem Media here at 98.9, a marketing event that's going to help push your mind and get you, if you don't know a whole lot about digital marketing, some of us are more savvy than others.
Yeah, it's actually on Tuesday, and it's from 9 to 11:30 at one of our clients' offices. It's at MA Architects at 775 Yard Street, and it's called Make Your Business Click. So it's how to help you grow through your online marketing and to evaluate your existing online marketing. What could you do to drive more traffic to your website and to get more people aware of your business through your website.
Right, yeah. So talk about the little things that are going on behind the scenes in the web world, right?
Yeah, this is on Tuesday from 9 to 11:30
Tuesday,
at MA Architects. So if you're interested in that, give us a call at 614-306-7922. And this is a free workshop.
Yes,
and we will be there along with some folks from Salem.
Yes, and if you want more information about it, you can also visit our website, which is takeactionbusinesscoaching.com. We have the information on that website, and we also have the information about the 90-day planning that we were talking about on March 2nd. That you can get the information
You also,
on that.
if you want to, you could go look at past shows on the website. If you click on the Business Talk icon, you'll find a whole series of different shows that you can listen to by topic on there.
Absolutely. So,
and again, the 90-day planning session is on March 2nd from 8 o'clock in the morning until about 3:30. And if you're interested in coming to that as our guest, give us a call, 614-306-7922.
This has been Business Talk, your business, your success, sponsored by Take Action Business Coaching. The opinions expressed were those of the participants and may not be the views of the staff, advertisers, and owners of the station. Advice given was not intended to replace that of your business advisor. For more information about the topics discussed today, call 614-306-7922. 614-306-7922. Tune in next week at this time for more Business Talk, your business, your success.